Welcome to Stack of Stats. I am your host, Pamela Maldonado, joined by DFS analyst for tourjunkies.com, Anthony Charter, and we're here to preview, bringing you all the analytics behind this week's PGA bets to preview the Travelers Championship at TPC River Highlands in Connecticut. Charter, how did the U.S. Open go for you last week?
It wasn't bad. I mean, obviously it was awesome, and I picked Jon Rahm to win, and I had Brooks and Xander were my other two top picks. So we got a top four, we got a win, we got a top seven. So all of their bets paid. I mean, DFS was kind of lame because I had those three in a bunch of my lineups, but most of the other guys didn't make the cut or didn't perform.
Oh, yeah.
So I didn't get much of a return on there, but all three of those guys cashed their head-to-head. They cashed the top 10. They cashed the top 20. I didn't bet Rahm to win because the value wasn't really there. I generally don't bet outrights that are under 20.
You know what, though? I have a counter argument for that. People always say that the value isn't there. Here's what I say to that. Plus money is plus money value. And if we felt strongly about a player to win, and if you heard the podcast last week, we felt really strong about Jon Rahm. What did we say? Top 20s and top 10s. You literally verbatim said it's basically free money. Why wouldn't you put it on? And it's not going to happen every week. Sometimes a plus 1,000 favorite, more often than not, is not going to take the cake. However, I just have a counter argument of you're getting plus money. And if it was minus 100, plus 100 to win a 4-day tournament, then yeah, I would start to argue that maybe the value isn't there. But you're still getting 10-1. Put a little $10 on that, and that's a good return on your investment regardless. And it's a fun sweat, and hopefully you can come out with a win from time to time. But for this week, we're going to move over to a new tournament, the Travelers Championship at TPC River Highlands. Looking at the field, Bryson DeChambeau and Dustin Johnson are the plus 1,200 co-favorites, followed by Patrick Cantley, Brooks Koepka, and Paul Casey. In this field at this tournament, after a major, there are 10 winners. Why I keep saying winners. Winners playing here at TPC River Highlands, including Bubba Watson, who has won here 3 times, and he shot 8 over last week at the U.S. Open. And there's also 5 top 10 players here this week, all of which are in the top 5 for the favorites. What do you think about the field?
I mean, it's a pretty good field for being after major now. Kind of expected some to withdraw, and I think in DJ's case, the only reason he is here is because he's the defending champion.
Yeah.
Brooks, I think, is just here because Chase is here. Now, that might be, I don't think that's a reason to fade because, Chase is in the field, gives him a little bit more motivation. Yeah, Chase Koepka is his brother. So maybe Brooksy has a little bit more motivation to play well with his brother. Chase has actually played pretty well his last 2 times out too. So it'll be interesting. But I mean, the regulars you'd expect to be here perform, the Answer and Hoffman and Casey and those type of guys, and Stewart Sink, who we'll hear a little bit out later. He's a 2-time champ here as well. But yeah, nice to see Bubba here. This is Bubba track.
Won here 3 times, which moves over to the course. It is TPC River Highlands. It is a par 70. It is a short 6,800 yards. It is the 6th shortest course on the PGA Tour. But because it's so short, maybe this is a reason why, there's only been one man who has shot a 58 on tour, and that was Jim Furyk in 2016 at this course. Patrick Cantley, he also shot a 60 in 2011. Dustin Johnson, he shot a 61 in one of his rounds last year. The 72-hole record is 22 under par. Kenny Perry from 2009. So at 6,800 yards, you're going to kind of expect these high-scoring the winner's probably going to be somewhere around minus 20, something similar. We're going to see really low. We're going to say it get low. And it's a TPC course. I've never necessarily been a fan of TPC courses. I think they're pretty much all the same. I've said it before. I'll say it again. You've seen one TPC course. You've pretty much seen them all. And the front 9 at this course, I would say it's pretty easy peasy. There's not many hazards. It's a pretty simple layout. It's kind of just more forward. nothing advanced about it. But then the back nine, it does get a little bit interesting. There is a little bit more elevation. There's narrow fairways, out of bounds areas to the left and to the right. There's more hazards, so we could see a little bit more carnage. Still nothing like what we saw coming from the U.S. Open, but it should be a little bit more difficult than the front nine. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, like 3 of the 6 hardest holes are coming in. You get the 5th, the 3rd, and the 6th hardest hole on the course coming in for 16 to 18. So that'll definitely pucker you up as you're coming down the final round.
So keep that in
But
mind if
yeah,
you are
it's
doing day-to-day head-to-heads, because your player is either going to look really good coming into that stretch and just all over it, or he's going to come up and or he'll be an underdog coming into that final stretch and come out with the victory because the opponent that you have him in a head-to-head is the one who flopped. So some of the stats that I utilized for this course, these courses, these tournaments where you're going to see 15 to 20 under win the tournament, I'm looking for kind of just a complete player. Can you make some birdies and can you keep the ball in play? So I'm keeping it simple with strokes gained off the tee, your approach, tee to green basically, and then just birdie or better percentage. And then mostly I do look at course history on tournaments like this because there is so much course history. So it definitely helps. And of course, recent form. Was there anything specific that you added for this week for stats?
I mean, the greens are small, so approach is almost number 1. Putting actually outweighs approach at this course, given strokes gained total for the people in the top 10 in the history of the event. So you definitely have to have a good flat stick, and that's kind of why any type of player has won this, from DJ to Kenny Perry, Russell Knox, Kevin Streelman, Jordan Spieth. Like, you have to have a good tee to green game. It's a less than driver course, but the most important thing is you need to be putting that week. The greens are difficult and they are small, so holding them is a big advantage, and scrambling is a little bit harder than average here too. So I tossed that in. Par 5 scoring, obviously there's only 2 per day. Both of them can be reachable depending on the weather or whatever, but you have to take advantage of those. And then they're going to be about 7 to 8 par 4s that are between 400 and 450 every day, which is 40% of the holes they play all week are going to be that length. So you need to be able to score on those. So I took a look at those. And then, opportunities gained and birdie or better percentage mixed together. Definitely going to need a lot of birdies to win this week.
So do you have a good iron shot to put it close, and then are you making them birdies? So then you have a much smaller card this week. God must have stricken the earth dead because there's like 3 people. You have 3 names. There is no Walgreens receipt this time. There is only a handful of players, less than a handful of players. And one of the players that you're looking at is Scotty Shuffler. For a top 20, he is plus 125. For a top 10, he is plus 250. And to win, he is plus 2,200. He did miss the cut at this course last year, but he is coming off back-to-back really good performances. He took 3rd at the Memorial. He took 7th at the U.S. Open, which was surprising to me because I had him to miss the cut on Approach the Green episode with Andy Molitar, and look at him finishing in the top 10, proving me all types of wrong. He's really a great ball striker, and he has back-to-back rounds of in the green for putting. So what about him do you like for this week?
The last 2 rounds, I mean, even just the 3 of his 4 are 2 of them are majors and both of them are top 10s, which is great. It's only a matter of time. He for probably a year now, he's been one of my favorite players to watch. He kind of had a dip a little bit and then obviously fell short at the match play event, which would have been really nice for him to take down. But I mean, his last 30 rounds, he's top 10 tee to green, birdie or better percentage, the 400 to 450 par 4s and par 5 scoring. He's got a decent flat stick. And his overall Pete Dye track record, other than his MC here last year, is pretty great. So I expect some big things from Scotty Shuffler, especially in a field that could potentially get weaker with WDs. But he's a top guy. He should be up there anyway.
And you're getting plus money value for a top 20. So those are some good odds right there. The next
Yeah.
player that you are targeting is Charlie Hoffman. For a top 20, he is plus 165. For a top 10, he is plus 500. And to win, he is plus 3,500. He's also a player that he actually has a pretty good course history here. He, in his last 3 tournaments at Travelers, he took 15th in 2018. He took 3rd in 2017. Um, and well, in 2020, he took 41st, and then 2019 he missed the cut. But he overall, I mean, he seems to be doing well at that course, and he is having himself a really great 2021 season. So, what about him specifically do you like him for this course? I know that he didn't do so well last week at the U.S. Open.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know. I mean, I obviously expected a lot better from Charlie last week, but he made the cut, tried to battle, just wasn't meant to be. He worked his can off trying to get there, got there, proved that point, and hopefully just now he's even thinking about a potential Ryder Cup spot, maybe. I mean, if he throws up another win or a win and, some more top tens, he might give Stricker something to look at. But once again, he's number 1 on my model this week. Big shocker if you're looking at ball striking stats. He's going to be up there. He's first in tee to green, first in birdies, first in DraftKings scoring, second in ball striking, opportunities gained, par 5 scoring, and is top 10 in the 400 to 450 par 5 or par 4s. And again, just an excellent Pete Dye track record. So sign me up for heartbreak once again.
Some additional stats that could help along is he is 25th off the tee. He is 10th on strokes gained on the approach. And he's 21st in birdies or better. And he is 19th in tee to green. So he could definitely maybe find a good bounce back this week coming off a kind of a subpar performance at the U.S. Open. Now you do have those are it. Those are your plays. You got 2 players. You have Scotty Shuffler and Charlie Hoffman. We'll talk about your third player, which I do share with. So we'll save him for a little bit. But you have 2 flyers that you wanted to mention, and I would say consider them long shots. That's what you're going to call them. Rickie Fowler. Sleepers. We'll call them sleepers. Rickie Fowler. He has never played at this course, and his top 20 odds are plus 250. One time. When was that?
In 2013, he had a T13.
2013. Let's go. Let's do a reunion here. Top 20 is plus 250, and to win, he is a bit of a long shot at plus 4,500. But Rickie Fowler, who is having a really, really tough 2021, has come off with back-to-back top 11 finishes. He took 8th at the PGA Championship. He took 11th at the Memorial earlier June 6th, earlier in the month. He has in 3 straight events, he has gained strokes around the green. In 2 straight events, back-to-back 8th and 11th, he gained strokes putting. And in back-to-back events, he has gained strokes on his approach. Something is starting to click. I don't hate this play at all. Can you expand a little bit on this?
I think just everything, all the work he's done with John Tillery is just starting to come back. Like, Tillery's kind of like one of those infamous swing coaches that like just completely break you down and rebuild. And obviously it was going to take a while for Rickie to come back. And because he was working so hard with the ball striking and stuff, once he started striking the ball better, he lost his putter. And that's just going to happen. You can't always have it working both ways, which Rickie was kind of accustomed to for quite a while. So yeah, it's nice to see. He also just announced baby girl that they're having in the fall.
I missed that.
Yeah, so he's having a baby girl in the fall. So I mean, obviously,
strokes gained to life. We always like to take players who have strokes gained to life because they just come in with like a different vibe. They're coming in like feeling refreshed. They're coming in with all types of good vibes. So I definitely like this play. I may end up playing this myself.
Yeah, like I don't think, I mean, the numbers out there were way better before. Like if you're seeing plus 45, there's been 70s and above that some people have grabbed already, which obviously would have been really nice to hop on right away. But yeah, like the putter's starting to come back. I love those last 2 rounds. He's second over his last 17 rounds in scrambling. So that's nice that he's, even if the ball striking is not complete, he's still starting to get up and down a lot better now.
And what is it that we
Yeah,
are always trying to do? We're trying to get, we say it pod after pod, we're trying to get the players who are up and coming, who are up on the rise. Maybe they were like gone the downhill for a little while and now they've hit their plateau and now they're going to come back up. And Rickie Fowler could definitely be one of those guys. We're trying to
yeah,
catch them before they get real hot because then that's when the odds definitely adjust. But I do like this Rickie Fowler play a lot. He lost strokes in multiple tournaments on his iron shots, and now back to back, he's gained. So something is clicking. I don't mind that at
yeah.
all. The other sleeper pick that you have is Stewart Sink. You mentioned earlier that he is a previous winner at this course. For top 20, he is plus 325 and two-time winner. And for a to win, he is plus 8,000. For a two-time winner at plus 8,000 odds, that's kind of crazy. But I mean, in his last, granted, these were years back. In 2015, he missed the cut. 2018, he took second. And then last year, he missed the cut at this course. He hasn't really done anything spectacular since he won the RBC Heritage in April. He has, after that, he took a 37th, a 30th, a 47th, and a 57th place finish. So, what are you looking at for this week? Explain.
Well, I mean, you say his last one was in April, but he won again just a few months before that as well. So he's a two-time PGA Tour winner just this season alone.
Mm-hmm.
But like he in his presser earlier today, like he confirmed his love for here. Like this place it wasn't even called the Travelers on either of his wins. It was just at TPC River Highlands. But
Mm-hmm.
his first start as a PGA Tour pro was here, and his
Mm-hmm.
first win as a PGA Tour pro was here. And like this course just sets up much like Harbour Town and the RBC Heritage where he won it. It's very similar Pete Dye track. You know, you don't obviously he's gained a lot of distance with his driver, but it's not something he'll need to use. He'll just be able to kind of lay back and swing it. Obviously likes the greens and stuff here as well. So yeah, like his stats over the last like few events haven't been great, but I mean, it's not like a guy that's 48 needs to be an elite ball striker to win a golf tournament. And these events don't require elite ball striking to win either.
Correct.
It's just the putter. If you have an elite putter, that's going to be more beneficial this week than coming off the tee hot.
And putting is definitely a strength. However, he has barely lost strokes putting in his last two events after gaining in 6 straight. So maybe if he loves this course so much, then this could be a little homecoming for him. You mentioned earlier that this was his first PGA Tour win was at this course.
Yeah.
So the similar happened last week with Jon Rahm. His first win was at Torrey Pines last week, and he had a bit of a homecoming. So potentially, can we see back-to-back tournaments where the winner who won their first tour event at that course ends up repeating? That would be
this would be an extended place, because I think he won in 2008 and 2011. I think I'm pretty sure the 2008 one is correct because it was literally just after the U.S. Open in 2008. He came here and won his first event, and then won it a couple years later. So it'd be a little extended, but yeah.
I think sprinkling on him to win is definitely like a pancake bet for me. I would love that.
Yeah, he's
just
like
because
over
of what
100,
we saw,
right?
Just because of what we saw last week of Jon Rahm, I'm going to do it again this week. Why not? But the player that you and I do have in common is, so you have 2 players and then 2 sleepers. And then the third player that is on your card is Abraham Answer, who I also do share. For a top 20, he is plus 140. For top 10, he is plus 250. For top 5, he is plus 550. And to win, he is plus 2,500. I really like Abraham Answer this week. My problem is he doesn't win, but he at Travelers, he has really good course history. In back-to-back years, he took 8th in 2019, he took 11th in 2020, and he's having himself a really great 2021 season as well. He had, before he missed the cut at last week's US Open, he took 5th at the Valspar, he took 2nd at the Wells Fargo Championship, he took 8th at the PGA Championship, and then 14th at the Charles Schwab. But he missed the cut last week at the US Open. Should I be worried about that? Should we be worried about that?
No, I mean, like he just his around the green game, and he's, even though he missed the cut, he still was second in strokes gained approach with over 5 strokes gained on approach. He just lost them all and a little bit more on the green and around the green. It just
off the tee. So
it's
that's
gonna
actually a good
happen.
point. That's a good point that you make, because he lost 3 strokes last week around the green, but he had actually corrected where he typically loses 2, 3, 4 strokes around the green. In his 4 tournaments prior, you can tell he's been practicing, because he was staying pretty neutral. He was losing 0.12, gained 0.02, lost 0.3, and then 0 at the Charles Schwab tournament before. So he has been practicing on that. And then last week, maybe he just kind of had a slip up, but he did gain 6 strokes on his approach. So he is there. His iron shots are always going to be there. He's just trying to clean up the rest of his game. And when you focus, what do we always say? When you focus on one part of your game, another part of your game kind of slips. But what I like about him, he is 29th off the tee. He is 30th in strokes gained on the approach. He is 30th in birdie or better, 29th in tee to green, and he is 6th in driving accuracy. And I want somebody who's pretty accurate off the tee. Yeah, you can leave your driver in the bag at this course, but it helps to also be accurate for the back nine, where it does get a little bit more narrow.
Yeah, I mean, the stats even get better if you reduce it a bit much. Like in his last 3 months, he's played 30 rounds. He's top 5 in ball striking, top 5 in fairways, top 5 in good drives gained, and top 5 in 400 to 450 par fours.
Nice. I like it. So another player that I like is Paul. That's done for his card. 5 total players, 3 main picks, and 2 sleepers. And then Abraham Answer will also be on mine. Paul Casey is another player that I do like. He is top 20 for top 20 odds. Aren't the greatest at -110, but hey, I think it's still a fair price. Top 10, he's +175. Top 5, he is +350. And to win, he is +1600. If you look at the players who have the most strokes gained total, considering a good amount of rounds played at this tournament, that is Paul Casey, and his results definitely show it. Since 2015, he took second at Travelers Championship. He took second in 2015, 17th in 2016, 5th, second, 5th, and then in 2020, he took 32nd, all at the Travelers Championship. And he's coming off really great performances in 2021. He missed the cut at RBC Heritage, but after, he took 21st at the Valspar. He took 4th at the PGA Championship. He took 7th at last week's US Open. And he is in the green absolutely everywhere. Where he struggles is his putting. But last week at the US Open, he was able to stay pretty neutral. He gained 0.15 strokes. He is 3rd in strokes gained on the approach. He is 51st in birdie or better. He is 7th in tee to green, and he is 33rd in driving distance, which I think could come in handy at this course. Is there any additional stats that could help sway people to betting Paul Casey for this week?
I mean, you probably don't need much to want to play Paul Casey. Like, in his last 3 months, 34 rounds, first tee to green, first par 5 scoring, top 10 in 400 to 450 par fours, good drives gained, birdies. I mean, he's even 16th in opportunities gained, and then 7th in birdies or better gained. So that means like he's putting his approaches very close and making a wide margin and more of his putts. So yeah, he's second in my model. It's gonna be good.
I will say that I did take one outright win, my first click, and it was Paul Casey. So I'll just stick with that. Kevin Streelman, he is top 20 at +150, top 10 +300, and to win +2800. I think top 20 is probably the most that I would go with him, but he has really good course history at Travelers. He took second. He's coming off second at last year's Travelers Championship. Previously, he took 15th. The year before, he took 33rd. And the year before that, he took 8th. But he is also having a really good 2021 season. He took 8th at the PGA Championship, 20th at the Charles Schwab, and then back-to-back top 20 finishes as well. At 13th at the Memorial, 15th at the US Open. And he's also another really great ball striker. He's pretty good around the green. And typically where he loses strokes putting, he has gained strokes putting in 3 of his last 4 tournaments. So I really do like Streelman. He is 27th in strokes gained on the approach. He is 32nd in tee to green. And I don't know, I have a good feeling about him. I think another top 20 is definitely in the cards for him, if not better.
Yeah, same for me, really. Like, he's 5th in the model. All the ball striking numbers are there. Fairways numbers are there. Good drives gain numbers are there. It's good stuff for Paul or for Kevin Streelman.
Two other players that I do like is Patrick Cantley. Top 20 is -115. To win is +1400, and a top 10 is +165. I mean, if you want to talk about consistent at Travelers, he took 15th, 15th, and 11th in his last 3 years, and he is, I mean, doing some really great Patrick Cantley things in 2021. He was kind of hit or miss there. He was missing the cut for a little bit, but then he missed the cut, took 11th at the Zurich, missed the cut at Wells Fargo, but then in his last 3 tournaments, he took 23rd at the PGA Championship. He won the Memorial, and then he took
Sort
15th
of.
at the US Open. And then he sort of, kind of, by default. We'll put an asterisk. And then he took 15th
he
at
won.
the US. He won, and then he took 15th at the US Open. His ball striking is also there. His around the green is there, and he had lost strokes in 7 straight tournaments. He has gained in putting. He has lost strokes putting in 7 straight tournaments. He has gained strokes putting in his last 2. I like Patrick Cantley. Put him in.
Yeah, everything's good with Cantley. My only worry with him would be the fairways, but like he can just leave the driver in the bag and club down and just, approach it with some patience and stuff. But he definitely can make some birdies, that's for sure.
Another player that I am a little bit iffy about, see if you can help me ease off him or keep him on my card. It is Keegan Bradley, top 20 +165, top 10 is +400, and to win is +4,000. His course history is kind of off and on. He took 8th here in 2017. He took 47th in 2018. He took 2nd in 2019, but then he missed the cut last year. So he's kind of all over the place, a little bit top 10, one top 20, and then he just missed the cut. But recently in 2021, he is also having a really good season. He took, since the Valero Texas Open at 23rd, he took 4th at the Zurich, but that's a team event. He took 2nd at the Valspar, 18th at Wells Fargo, and 17th at the PGA, but he missed the cut at the Memorial earlier this month, and that's when we last saw him. His ball striking is decent. It's pretty there. It is still in the green, but it's not as strong as other players. He's not the best ball striker, but he is really good around the green. In his last tournament at the Memorial, he lost 5 strokes around the green, where he typically gains in every single event. And his putter is pretty neutral. What I do like about him is he has 6 in strokes gained on the approach, and he is 9th in tee to green, and he is 30th in driving accuracy. What do we like or dislike about Keegan Bradley for this week?
I mean, the only real thing you can dislike about Keegan is his putter. Yeah. That's generally the only worry. But like, this is kind of a home game for Keegan as well. Like, I'm pretty sure he lives around or near Boston, so it's the closest generally they're going to get outside of the playoffs to a home game for him. But yeah, like just even in the last 6 months, he's still 3rd tee to green and 6th ball striking on tour. His fairways are 8th and his good drive gained are 1. So like, this is a course where Keegan doesn't have to put the driver in the bag. He can challenge the holes. Because like the rough isn't that crazy too, and he's really good at hitting out of the rough. It just comes down to the putter, and it hasn't been terrible. So I could definitely see. Yeah, I could definitely see Keegan in contention, and a top 10 and top 20 bet is definitely interesting.
You know me, I like to stop at plus money value and top 20. That's what you're going to give me. But those are the players that we're looking to target. Just to read down our much shorter. We just bought 1 item this time at the Walgreens. We have for Charter, he has Scotty Shuffler, Charlie Hoffman. His sleeper picks are Rickie Fowler, Stewart Sink. We both do share Abraham Ancer, and I like Paul Casey, Kevin Streelman, Patrick Cantley, and Keegan Bradley. Do make sure you follow Charter on Twitter at AntCharter. You can follow me on Twitter at Pamela M35. And that does it for another episode of Stack of Stats.
Good luck.